So anyway, this is an amateur video of a 2002 Honda Odyssey. It's applicable to any Honda Odyssey up to 2005 when they made a revision to this rear door to make it more accessible. But I've already repaired it, but I had so much trouble finding out how to do it that I decided to do a video. And this is, of course, the rear liftgate. The glass part does not lift up, and there's a keyhole here. And what I experienced was that my actuator worked, my remote worked, except the handle wouldn't operate. It was loose. And what had happened is the cable that attaches the handle to the lock mechanism, it had come loose inside the door. And as you can see, without that thing open, it can be quite a difficult and cramped exercise to get into that back compartment and even look at the door and intelligently try to figure out how to open it. So what I did, I had to position myself back here in this well, and you'll see a hole I cut, but I'm going to show you cutting that hole is the only way to get to the lock mechanism, because this rear panel is a solid panel. It has an access point here for replacing the right tail light, and one over here for replacing the left tail light. But there was absolutely no panel here. I had to cut that opening, and as you see, I cut it about a foot square. You could do it with a little less if you wanted to. There's center it in the door panel and start right above this ridge here. Start like 1.5 inches above that. Otherwise you'll run into this painted rear door panel. So at any rate, when I got back here, originally I had some bolt cutters, and I was trying to cut away enough of this plastic that I could get the bolt cutters in there and cut this, but it's hardened steel, and my bolt cutters were too big to get into this slot and cut this, thankfully, because that was my first attempt. That would have been a disaster. Even though you can replace this, it would have been really hard to get it out of the lock mechanism, because the lock mechanism would have been locked around it, and I would have been up the creek without a paddle. So what I did was I got a wood chisel, and I marked that square, a foot square, with a marker, and then I just cut it out, and I've got it right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim it out with some trim and some hinges, and then I'm going to make it accessible again. I'm going to put the door back in, and I know it looks raggedy now, but at any rate, once you get this open, you see this mechanism right here that my finger is on. That's the lock. And so if you just push that to the right, the door will open once you get this open. The problem I found was that somebody had been in here. See, there's duct tape wrapped around this electrical, so they'd been in here for some reason, probably to hook up maybe a trailer hitch or something, I don't know. But when they got in there, they dislodged this piece right here that has the gummy stuff around it. There's a rubber grommet at the end of this piece, and it's supposed to fit in here, and it does fit in there, but there's no way that it locks in there, and it's, you know, a bump in the road or anything could dislodge it. And once it gets dislodged, the length of this cable, once it gets knocked out, the handle doesn't have enough play in it to pull the cable. So it worked, but since it wasn't locked in place, the handle wouldn't open it. So what I did was I took some epoxy. I'm not a big super glue guy. I'm an epoxy guy, and that'll be there for all time. And I just pushed some epoxy all around that, and it solidified, and that grommet won't fall out again. And now, as you can see, the lock mechanism opens. So anyway, that's the only way to do it, and I'm going to be over and out here. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. Thanks a lot. And again, that's on all Honda Honda Odysseys up till 2005. In 2005, they finally put an access panel there, and that's how I figured out how to do this. I looked at the rear door of a later model Odyssey and found out that they had installed an access panel, so I did the same. Okay, bad engineering, but we can work around it. Thanks and have a great day.